Did you know that nearly 1 in 4 cars on the road today have suspension problems? That means right now, thousands of vehicles are driving with worn-out shocks, broken control arms, or rusted struts, without the drivers even realizing it. Here's the scary part. When it goes at 70 miles per hour, you don't just get a rough ride, you lose control. Longer braking, higher accident risk. That's not just expensive, it's deadly. But I've got you covered. Today's game-changing tips will keep your suspension perfect for years and save you thousands in repairs. Stick around for my bonus tip, something most mechanics won't tell you that prevents your car from total suspension failure. Now, let's dive in. 17. Check tire pressure regularly. You ever try running a marathon in clown shoes? That's basically what your suspension is dealing with if your tires are overinflated or underinflated. Too much pressure, and every little pebble feels like a boulder slamming your shocks. Too little, and your tires sag, forcing the suspension to drag around extra weight like it's hauling groceries for the whole neighborhood. Either way, your suspension is the one taking the beating. The fix is simple, but here's where most drivers mess it up. They only check tire pressure when the warning light comes on. By that point, your suspension has already been punished for weeks. Instead, grab a pressure gauge and check once a month, or even better, every gas fill-up. Keep your tires at the manufacturer's recommended PSI, not close enough, because close enough usually means trouble. Properly inflated tires don't just save your suspension, they give you better fuel economy, sharper handling, and way less risk of blowouts. It's literally free performance. If this is helping you out, hit that subscribe now. Your suspension will thank you later. And here's the kicker. Ignore this, and you'll soon be wondering why your car feels like it's auditioning for a low-rider competition. So yeah, suspension longevity starts with air. Boring? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. And the next step? Well, think of it like giving your suspension a rotation spa day. 16. Rotate tires consistently. Imagine wearing your favorite sneakers every single day, but only on one foot. That's what happens to your suspension if you never rotate your tires. The front set is doing all the turning, braking, and absorbing your "oops, didn't see that pothole" moments, while the rears are chilling like they're on vacation. The result? Uneven tire wear, and uneven wear equals extra stress on shocks, struts, and joints. The solution is simple. Rotate your tires every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. Don't overthink it. Most shops will toss this in during oil changes. If you're a DIY type, it's basically like playing musical chairs with your wheels. Swap front to back, maybe crisscross depending on your car's setup, and boom! Your suspension just got a little breathing room. Here's the funny part. People spend hundreds on fancy suspension upgrades, but skip this simple habit that keeps their stock system alive for years. Tire rotation evens out the workload so the suspension doesn't get twisted and torqued in weird ways. Plus, it keeps your handling predictable, which means your car won't suddenly feel like a shopping cart with a stuck wheel. And if you think tire rotation is optional, wait until your mechanic shows you a strut that looks like it's been through a boxing match. Want to avoid that? Then stay tuned, because the next tip adds another layer of smoothness your suspension will thank you for. 15. Balance and align tires. Ever tried carrying a wobbly tray of drinks across the room? That's your suspension when your tires are out of balance or misaligned. Every bump, every curve, every freeway merge turns into an Olympic event for your shocks and struts. And here's the kicker. Your suspension wasn't designed to fight that battle forever. Unbalanced tires cause vibration, which beats up not just your suspension, but also your steering components. Misalignment? That's like forcing your suspension to drag a crooked cart down the road. Constant sideways stress, guaranteed premature wear. If your car pulls to one side, your steering wheel shakes like it's nervous, or your tires are wearing unevenly, that's your red flag. Balancing is quick. Little weights are attached to your wheels to make sure everything spins smoothly. Alignment takes a bit longer, but it's worth every penny. The machine literally measures your car's geometry to get the wheels pointing exactly where they should, Think of it as chiropractic care for your suspension. Snap, crackle, pop, and suddenly everything feels right again. Balanced and aligned tires don't just protect suspension, they make your car feel brand new. The steering feels tighter, the ride smoother, and the road noise drops. It's like your car just had a full spa day. Ignore it, and your suspension will eventually file for early retirement. But speaking of retirement, the real killer move is keeping the hidden muscles of your suspension fresh. 14. Avoid overloading. Your suspension isn't a gym rat trying to max out on squats every day. When you overload your car with bricks, cement bags, or your cousin's entire music studio, your springs and shocks take a beating they were never designed for. Think of them like knees, fine with jogging, but try carrying 3 refrigerators at once and see how long they last. The more weight you pack in, the faster your coils sag, struts wear out, and bushings cry for mercy. Keep it light, and your suspension thanks you with years of smooth cruising. And wait until you hear what just slowing down can save you. 13. Slow over speed bumps. Speed bumps aren't ramps. No matter what action movies told you, launching your car over them like you're filming Fast and Furious is a quick way to turn your suspension into mashed potatoes. Those rubber bushings, strut mounts, and even your shocks get hammered with every slam. Slow it down, ease over, and your ride stays quiet instead of rattly. It's not about looking cool, it's about keeping those expensive parts alive longer. And speaking of rubber parts, there's a tiny hero under your car most drivers ignore. 12. Replace worn bushings. Bushings are the unsung heroes of your suspension. They're just little rubber donuts, but they stop all that metal clanking against itself. When they crack or wear out, suddenly every bump feels like a jackhammer. Your suspension starts loosening up in all the wrong ways, and other parts wear out faster. Replacing them early is cheap and saves you a fat repair bill down the line. Plus, your car feels tighter and smoother instantly. But hey, even perfect bushings can't help if your shocks are bleeding out on the driveway. 11. Watch shock strut leaks. Shocks and struts work because they're full of fluid. That fluid controls the bounce, so your car doesn't keep pogo sticking after every bump. If you notice oily streaks on them, it means the fluid's leaking out, and your suspension is basically running on fumes. That leads to uneven tire wear, longer braking, and a ride that feels like a carnival ride. Catch it early, and you can swap them before the rest of the suspension gets wrecked. And when you do replace them, there's one golden rule most people ignore. 10. Replace in pairs or sets. Here's the thing, shocks and struts work in harmony. If you replace only one side, you've basically got one old, tired leg running a marathon with one brand new one. The result? Awkward, uneven handling, extra strain, and faster wear. Always replace shocks and struts in pairs, front or rear, or better yet, do all 4 if they're cooked. Yes, it's more money up front, but it saves you from replacing them again twice as soon. 9. Inspect ball joints and tie rods. Think of ball joints and tie rods as the wrists and elbows of your suspension. They keep everything connected, moving smoothly and pointing straight. But when they get loose or worn, your car starts wandering like it's had too much to drink. The steering wheel feels vague, the tires wear in weird patterns, and every bump sends shudders through the frame. Most drivers don't notice until it's really bad, like when the front end starts clunking loudly, or the steering wheel feels like it's about to wiggle free. By then, your suspension has already been under stress for months, maybe years. Here's the trick. Have them inspected regularly, especially if you drive on rough roads or hear clicking or popping when you turn. Worn joints not only trash your suspension, but can also lead to dangerous handling. Imagine taking a curve on the highway with a ball joint ready to snap. That's a steering and suspension nightmare you don't want. Catching them early is way cheaper than fixing the damage later. Replacing a tie rod end or ball joint isn't nearly as painful as replacing half your front suspension. Treat it like a checkup, cheap insurance for thousands of miles of smooth driving. And speaking of insurance, the best way to protect those moving parts in the first place is to make sure they're never running dry. 8. Grease moving parts. Suspension parts are like people. They work better with a little lubrication. Grease is what keeps ball joints, bushings, and other moving components sliding smoothly instead of grinding themselves into dust. Without it, you get metal-on-metal contact, and that's when things heat up, wear out, and eventually fail. Some modern cars use sealed joints you can't grease, but if your vehicle has grease fittings, don't ignore them. A quick shot of grease every oil change or two can double the lifespan of those parts. It's one of the cheapest forms of preventative maintenance out there, but most people skip it because it's just a little grease. That little grease, though, is the difference between parts lasting 50,000 miles or well over 100,000. Ever hear a squeak when you turn the wheel or hit a bump? That's your suspension screaming for lubrication. Grease silences those squeaks, restores smooth motion, and prevents tiny cracks from becoming big, expensive failures. It's like moisturizing your skin. Skip it long enough and things dry out, crack, and fall apart. Do it regularly, and everything stays supple and young. So before you laugh off the grease gun, remember, those few minutes can save you thousands. And once you've kept things smooth and quiet, the next enemy you've got to watch out for is way sneakier: plain old rust. 7. Clean undercarriage. Your suspension lives underneath the car, right in the line of fire for everything the road throws at it. Dirt, mud, and especially road salt don't just make things look ugly, they actively eat away at suspension arms, springs, and mounting points. Rust doesn't show mercy. It starts as a little flake of orange, then slowly gnaws its way deeper until a once strong control arm can snap under stress. That's why cleaning the undercarriage is more than just vanity, it's preservation. A simple rinse with a pressure washer or at a car wash after winter driving can add years to your suspension. If you drive in snowy climates, road salt is your biggest enemy. Salt clings to metal, holding moisture against it, accelerating corrosion until bolts seize, bushings rot out, and structural pieces weaken. Even in warmer places, caked mud and dirt can trap moisture against metal, leading to the same creeping damage. The trick is consistency. Washing once a year isn't enough. Make undercarriage rinsing a habit after heavy rains, after winter storms, after off-road trips. A few dollars at the car wash beats thousands in suspension repairs. Or worse, a frame that fails inspection. Think of it like brushing your teeth. Skip it, and decay takes over before you even notice. Keep it clean, and your suspension will thank you with smoother rides and longer life. And once your undercarriage is protected, the next factor to tackle is what actually meets the road: your tires. 6. Use quality tires. Tires are the first line of defense for your suspension. Every pothole, every crack, every expansion joint on the highway hits the rubber before it reaches the springs and shocks. If your tires are cheap, thin, or unevenly worn, that impact doesn't get absorbed. It gets passed straight through to the suspension, multiplying the stress. The investment pays for itself in two ways. First, quality tires last longer, and second, they act as shock absorbers that reduce wear on everything underneath your car. That means fewer suspension repairs, fewer alignment issues, and a car that feels stable instead of shaky. So the next time you're tempted by bargain bin tires, think of them as stress bombs for your suspension. Spend a little more up front, and you'll drive smoother, safer, and cheaper in the long run. And once you've got your tires sorted, the next piece of suspension health comes from something most drivers overlook entirely: alignment. 5. Drive defensively. Most suspension problems don't come from slow wear. They come from sudden abuse, hard braking, slamming into potholes, hopping curbs, or taking speed bumps too fast. All shock your suspension with forces it was never designed to handle. Every one of those hits transfers brutal stress through your shocks, struts, bushings, and ball joints, slowly beating them into failure. City driving is where suspensions die young. Potholes and curbs are everywhere, and most drivers treat them like obstacles to charge through instead of hazards to respect. But if you ease off the throttle, give yourself time to spot road damage, and take it gently, you'll save thousands in repairs over the years. Defensive driving doesn't just protect your suspension either. It protects your brakes, your tires, and your fuel economy. A suspension can only handle so many brutal hits before bushings crack and struts start leaking. Treat it with care, and it will last far longer than the manufacturer ever predicted. And once you've mastered the art of avoiding stress from the outside, the next step is making sure the suspension holds its strength from the inside by paying close attention to your springs. 4. Keep springs healthy. If shocks and struts are the muscles of your suspension, springs are the bones. They carry the weight of your entire vehicle, holding everything up while flexing over bumps and dips. When springs start sagging or weakening, the whole system falls out of balance. Suddenly, your shocks are doing double duty. Your struts are over-compressed and every part of the suspension is overloaded. Replacing springs may feel like a big job, but it's far cheaper than replacing an entire suspension system wrecked by neglect. And when paired with healthy shocks and struts, fresh springs bring back that smooth, stable ride you forgot your car could have. Think of springs as the foundation of a house. If they crumble, everything built on top shifts and cracks. Keep them strong, and your suspension stays solid. 3. Listen for clunks and creaks. Your suspension will often tell you when it's in trouble, if you're willing to listen. Clunks, creaks, squeaks, or rattles rarely appear out of nowhere. They're early warning signs that something in your suspension is loose, worn, or starting to fail. Ignore those noises, and what could have been a $50 bushing replacement turns into a $1,000 strut or control arm job. Clunking over bumps usually means a loose joint or bushing. Creaking when you turn the wheel points to tired ball joints or worn bushings. Squeaking that comes and goes with suspension movement can be dry bushings crying out for attention. The good news is, mechanics can usually diagnose the source of a noise quickly, and many small suspension jobs, like replacing sway bar links or bushings, are inexpensive compared to letting the problem snowball. Pay attention to your car's soundtrack, because silence is golden, and any new clunk or creak is your cue to act. But what if you never hear anything at all? That's where timing comes in. Even quiet parts wear out, which is why the next step is replacing components on schedule before they fail catastrophically. 2. Replace suspension components on time. Suspension parts are designed to wear, not last forever. Shocks, struts, bushings, and ball joints all have service lives. Push them past that point, and they don't just ride rough, they risk catastrophic failure. Imagine a strut blowing out on the highway, or a control arm ball joint snapping when you hit a bump. That's not just expensive, it's dangerous. By sticking to a proactive replacement schedule, you save money in the long run. New shocks prevent springs and bushings from wearing prematurely. Fresh bushings keep alignments true, saving your tires. Healthy ball joints prevent suspension arms from flexing in ways they shouldn't. Every timely replacement is a chain reaction that keeps the rest of the system strong. And yet, even the most disciplined owner can't see everything. That's why the #1 suspension saver is trusting an expert to check what you can't. 1. Professional inspection annually. Even the most careful driver misses things. Suspension wear can hide in places you'll never see without lifting the car. Tiny cracks in bushings, hairline fractures in springs, or leaks in shocks that only show up under load. That's why a professional inspection, at least once a year, is the best way to catch problems before they cost you big money. A trained mechanic knows where suspension wear hides. They'll check ride height, tug on control arms, spin wheels to test bearings, and look for leaks and play you'd never spot during normal driving. They can tell the difference between a harmless squeak and a dangerous crack. Most importantly, they'll catch issues early when repairs are still affordable. And there you have it, 17 ways to keep your suspension running like new. Now I want to hear from you. What's your worst suspension nightmare? Drop it in the comments. There's a video on your screen right now that'll save you even more money and stress under the hood. Click it on the left, and I'll meet you there.